God tells you to do something, we don't have much choice but to just do it and to follow His call, whatever that call is. And it's not always easy, and it's not always convenient, and it's not always what you want to do. But if He's telling you to do it, then we have to follow Him and obey where He tells us to go. I was driving through the city that I grew up in, through the streets, watching people, just driving by and watching people sitting on the streets with nowhere to go. Like they had no place to live and they had no food to eat. And I had no idea that people like that existed in my city, because for the whole time I've been married and the whole time with my kids, all we ever did was drive from our house to church and from church to our house 3 times a week. And once I got out of that building and saw what was going on in the streets, I was shocked and a little frustrated and angered that I didn't know before now that that was going on.
The whole idea of rebuild comes from the book of Nehemiah in the Old Testament. Nehemiah was a native of Jerusalem and was in exile living in Babylon. And he saw the situation of his hometown Jerusalem, and it crushed him, and he was moved with compassion. Nehemiah 2:17, the end of that says, "Let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem and end this disgrace." And that's our idea for rebuild in Huntington, is we want to end the disgrace, end the decline of the city of Huntington, and be able to rebuild not just the physical walls, but the personal walls of people's lives. People are struggling, and we want to be able to use ReBuild as an organization to rebuild buildings and rebuild people's lives.
We started in May of 2014 having cookouts in the neighborhood. We would go out and just set up a grill and tables and just invite the whole neighborhood and grill some hot dogs and chips and just open it up to anybody. And we would kind of canvass 9th and 10th Avenue and invite people, hand out flyers, and just invite them to come and hang out with us. They had no idea who we were, and they asked us lots of questions about what we were doing there and why we were hanging out there. A neighbor came over to kind of investigate for him to see what we were doing. But that was the first one, and once they kind of found out that we weren't anybody scary and they didn't have to be afraid of us, they opened up to us and started coming back to more. So we've tried to go in as very non-judgmental and not intimidating, but just to say, we're all the same kind of people and God loves us all.
The whole idea behind ReBuild is not buildings and not rehabbing buildings. The idea from our perspective is to establish relationships with people and help people establish lives. It would be helpful if people would come alongside and be able to partner with someone, come to a cookout, come to an event, come to one of the men's nights or ladies' nights or something, to where you can befriend someone, and then you can build a relationship with that person, and then you can walk through life with them, help them learn how to pay their bills, help them learn how to interview for a job, get them connected to people who can provide them clothes that would be useful in a job interview setting. And those are the types of things that we need, is people who are doing that. So if we could partner church groups or civic groups who would bring in retired people or people who are tradesmen who would come in and volunteer to work on a project, and then invite people from the neighborhood who could work alongside them, we would pay the neighborhood people to be there, but then it would be a partnership to where these people retired that have a skill could teach these construction employee wannabes that skill, and they could partner together to be able to help us get the buildings fixed, and at the same time spending quality time together. In that quality time, if you take someone who has a committed relationship with Christ, they're going to be able to spend 4, 6, 8 hours through the course of a project with someone who doesn't know anything about Christ. And while you're paying the person to be there working, this person who knows Christ can be able to share the love of Christ with them in a practical way. How different would life be if every Christian found one person who didn't know what they knew, and you just invested some time to help them know that? Whether it's how to get a job, how to pay their bills, how to save money. What if we all just spent some time investing in someone else's life?
And we have to be willing to sit down with people and say, tell me your story, tell me what's happened, how did you get here, and how can I help you?